I say, look, if you need a personal day or you want to go out with your friends early, like, because you're home, like, that's fine. Just tell me. Don't call out sick. Just tell me. We make it work. It's not about private versus corporate anymore. I did it for a long time. I mean, 20 years, 6 days a week. I don't even know how I did it, honestly. I think AI can help better patient outcomes, help me in the practice. Maybe we see more patients and help with that.
This is Optometrists Building Empires, and I'm your host, Ankit Patel. Each week, we'll explore the journey of practice ownership and leadership in optometry. Join us for insights and strategies from the top minds in our field. This show is sponsored by My Business Care Team. My Business Care Team helps your office increase revenues, reduce costs, and reduce staffing headaches. Let's build your empire together. Today's guest is someone I'm super excited to have on the show. She's a distinguished optometrist, thought leader, global speaker, writer, and renowned for her contributions to advancing the eye care industry. She fosters collaboration, knowledge sharing, and innovation within the professional community. She's a national speaker and award-winning practitioner who has been recognized as most influential woman in optical and women in optometry industry influencer. She's owner and optometrist at Sampalis Eye Care. Please welcome Dr. Maria Sampalis. Maria, welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's an honor and to be on the podcast, and nice words, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and you were kind enough to have me on your podcast a few years ago, so I'm glad I could have you on to dive into your story some.
Yeah, it's always great to get new people on a podcast and just share their stories and get new ideas. So it was nice to see you coming up and that you've done well over the years, and I'm glad to see that.
Well, I appreciate that. So what was the most important thing that helped you grow your empire?
So I think over the years when I first started, I had, aspirations of what I wanted to do in my career in optometry, and it's really changed over the years. But I think what really has driven me has been failure over the years, right? Like you have a certain expectation where you want to be, and then it just doesn't happen that way. Like we go to optometry school, we pass our tests, we get to the next level, we pass our boards. It's like kind of like where the goal line is, and you pass it. But then you get into real life business and competition and things like that. And I feel like that's been what has really changed for me, has been those feelings. Be like, why am I experiencing these things? Why am I not getting to those goalposts faster? So I think those have been things over the years that really, made me drive to do what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. And because it didn't get so fast, right? Sometimes it just doesn't happen the way we want it to.
So what did you run into when you were growing your empire that you didn't expect?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things that I did in eye care that come out. You want to have your own practice, and that doesn't happen that way, right? Cold start is hard. Started off working in a corporate setting. Really, it was for me turnkey. It was easy to start, and over the years evolved and what the next step was. And for me, every time you got to the next level, it got more difficult, right? And then I started this Facebook group about 12 years ago, and kind of learned how to grow it, how to engage the community, really answer those tough questions that a lot of doctors might private message or talk privately about, but get that out in the open. And I think that's kind of really why the community grown, because of the authenticity and because of those transparent conversations. So those things were tough. They weren't easy. I mean, it still comes up now. I mean, still looking on different avenues with patient care or within the network to grow it to the next level. It was never easy in that aspect. But it kind of find ways to kind of surpass it. And a lot of times it's kind of going a different way, and we kind of circle around the issue a bunch of times. And sometimes you get it, and other times it takes a little longer. Sometimes it's like, why did it take 2 or 3 years to get here when it could have got here in 6 months? But I think the journey is important, and we learn a lot from it too over the years. And the failure is not as hard anymore as it used to be. The rejection isn't as hard anymore because you're used to it, right? It's the same thing as getting on the treadmill. You first get on, it's hard, you don't want to do it, you do it, and now, hey, you can do you can do 2, 3 miles very quickly. It's just building up that resistance.
I like and, it's interesting you talk about that. What are some of the, I'm curious, anything you could share with, like, some of the tough conversations you had in public versus, in a private DM? Like, what are some of the tough questions that
Yeah.
might be something that other folks listening right now might be like, "I wonder what that is," like some more common ones that you might hear.
I mean, it was more at the beginning when I was kind of new and the concept of corporate optometry was not well respected in the industry. I was working in that setting and I was like, well, I think I'm just as good as any other doctor working in any setting at this point. And I think I can grow a business and do very well here. Um, I didn't want to take a loan out for 200,000, 300,000 at a cold start at that point, but I kind of wanted to see what I was made of. Right. And then at the beginning, I had conversations with people would be like, "Hey, anybody can grow a Facebook, can have Facebook group," and that's fine. Yes, anybody can. But over time, it takes vision to grow it, find how to market it, how to collaborate in the industry. And then we had difficult conversations where doctors would comment on certain aspects of a brand that maybe corporations didn't like it out. But I think over the years, because of that, those conversations companies have kind of changed how they operate and how they respect doctors in that setting, and how they want to continue to have doctors. So a lot of the information in the industry for corporate optometry is in that group, which and a lot of doctors have a voice now where they never really had it in the industry, and these doctors might have been overlooked in the past, where now they are part of the conversation and some table. Some are now are, companies are, having speakers that work in this setting, advisory boards, looking at them from a strategic standpoint of, hey, maybe we should pay attention to these doctors too. They do RX. They are doing medical. It's not those myths that were out there from 20 years ago. We see it every day. Doctors will post about, medical, business, just how to handle patients. Same thing that everybody kind of goes through in any practice setting. And I want to. It's not about private versus corporate anymore. It's really the doctors that practice there, and not the building that confines them.
Yeah, I like that. And what made you inspired, or what was the drive and impetus to grow? Right, you grew the network. That was amazing, and it still continues to be amazing. And now you have your own practice. Like, what was the impetus for keep going? What drove you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, what happened was, one of the corporate location closed, another one opened, then they closed, um, and then I was kind of like, hey, if I'm gonna do this, am I as confident in this as I think I am? Yes, I'm gonna do this now. Um, I'm gonna start kind of warm start, I call it, where you had some patience. And I did that. I opened a business in a month's time at that point. Moved it. I did it affordably. I had because I knew that I had the confidence, right, to do it. And I look back and I tell people that I was offered an employment job and it was $1,000 a day in Rhode Island. And I turned it down because I was like, I'm gonna do my own thing. Now's the chance. I'm gonna see if I can do it. And I have, support, family, a lot of family support. My husband's very supportive. And we're gonna try this. And this was like almost 10, no, 11 years ago. And kind of really grew through it when I got confidence. And then, doctors now that can't sell to private equity are looking to kind of exit. And those have been opportunities too, where if you know what you're looking for when you go, you can see the opportunities and you know what's a good deal. And I've worked in a lot of different settings too, where I had sublease as well and been very successful in it. But just right now, it's tough to kind of work 6 days a week and see all these patients with the doctor shortages and things like that. So I do continue to do some fill-in work as well. Don't have to do those admin things on that sector. But found that I don't have to do things that's what's being told in the industry that you should do in a practice, and done it kind of like my way, out of the box thinking, and been very successful in it, and don't have to really burn out and be there all the time either. There's are ways to have practices and not work 6, 7 days a week.
Yeah. Is there one or two things that you felt were instrumental in getting you there, right? To get that leverage, to get that freedom. Um, what are some of the things that maybe you heard were like, yeah, that didn't work for me, or things like, oh, no one's really talking about this. This is something that will help me though.
Yeah, so I think we all, like, follow a path of what we're supposed to do, and I think just kind of thinking outside the box and where you wanna be, and just because everyone's doing it this way doesn't mean it's the right way, right? So I kinda always did it a little different way and, kinda trusted myself, had the confidence in myself to do that, to take the risk, to do that as well. And, sometimes it's not right, or people saying that's not the right way to do it. But at the end of the day, I've gotten to where I wanted to be in my career and have been very successful in that part of the business aspects of optometry. Um, and for me, it's like, can I do more and get to the next level? And it's always being uncomfortable. I think if you're uncomfortable, then you know that you're in that right realm, that you're about to do the next best thing if that's what you want. And some people just define what your vision of success is. And some just,
Yeah.
some don't want that. And some want to say, can I challenge myself to get to the next level? Um, it's more of a personal thing. It's nothing more than that.
Yeah. So, it sounds like you've got a lot of experience in working in a lot of different models and making the business work that way. And I imagine it's like pretty cool to see like, oh, if is this a lease subhold? Okay, I can make that work. Is it a full scope practice? I can make that work. How do you find where has that been crucial for you in your growth path? Or where do you feel like, is that one of your strengths that you build off of? Like talk to that a little bit. Not many people have the breadth of experience that you have.
Yeah, I think it's by experience. You get confidence every time you do something, you get to that, right? And how fast you get in the journey. I think the journey is important for me. I kind of learned that from myself. Like to get to this point, it was a little harder than what I think it's supposed to be. But I look back and I'm very grateful for those obstacles because it wouldn't be so gratifying at this point or be comfortable for where I am. And if obstacles show up, I mean, you're kind of there, right? You already know it. It's just part of it. The higher up you get, the tougher it's supposed to be. If it's easy, then you fall quickly. And I think it's great that I kind of did it by myself over the years and worked hard. Because people that put you there can take you down, but if you get there, they don't know where to attack. And that's part of the business is kind of keeping that afloat over the years. And I think doctors make the mistake where they kind of compare themselves to other doctors or other competitors and things like that. For me, it was like, here's what I want to do, and the only competition is myself. I mean, I hold myself back if I don't want to do extra today. I want to take a break, right? I think it's that tough mindset of where do you want to be and what do you want to do.
Oh, I like it. Um, what is it that so a lot of folks right now are struggling with a couple of different things. One, they're struggling around staffing. So let's talk about that one first. Are you having challenges with staffing? Or if you're not, what's your secret?
Oh yeah, there's definitely staffing issues, right? Some are rock stars and others are minimal players in the office. Try to find their best um traits and where you can put them, right? How much work they do. I've been very fortunate over the years that I've had some great staff that is invested in the business, that works hard, that wants to see it grow. But I don't overwork them. I think burnout is can really make a good employee bad, right? So we take time and we try to help them do that. So if they're gonna answer, I'm gonna answer the phone too, right? I mean, I'm busy seeing patients, but I'm okay to do that if I do that. I go in early to help. Try to take some work off them, but try to you know, motivate them to see what the opportunity is in there. So do personal days are very important. Try to make it flexible.
Mm.
We do close early on Wednesdays and Fridays. That has been good. That's good for me too. I think if you can do that as a doctor's office, and even if it's admin time, I think that's important too. And I think the culture, transparency is just, I say, look, if you need a personal day or you want to go out with your friends early, like, cause you're home, like, that's fine. Just tell me, don't call out sick. Just tell me, we make it work, and I can do that in my office. But they do, they make my life easier. They are the gatekeeper of the office, right? So I want to make sure that they're happy because I could do that as well. And we try to, during the summertime, hire college kids or high school kids so they can work, so people can take time off, vacation, take some of the pressure off.
Okay. I like that. That's, I'm hearing that more and more, like, built in for 3-day weekends or flexibility. That's actually fantastic.
Yeah. And
Uh,
I think you have to support them too, right? I mean, patients have been increasingly difficult over the years on different things, and they try hard and they say, Doc, it was, I said, yes, listen, it's, I totally believe you. It's, we try our best. Some patients might not have a communication issue or don't understand what we're going on or frustrated with what's going on. You don't try to believe, you try to back them up, right? So I think they appreciate that because a lot of offices, sometimes some doctors don't. So backing them up and hearing them out, I think is important as well because they do. Again, they make my life easy. They do most of that heavy lifting there, and it makes my life easier.
yeah, that's awesome. Uh, yeah, and what is it that you're doing around? So another challenge practices are facing in reimbursement, staying stagnant or reducing, especially with vision.
Yeah.
What are you doing to kind of work around that or help offset that?
Yeah, the reimbursement thing is a big issue in eye care. We've talked about this many times in the Facebook group, podcasts, and writing articles. Medical model is the future. Making sure that you are doing medical, you treating glaucoma, retina, dry eye, things like that. Having the technology in your office to diagnose, treat, and bill for those things are important. Sometimes we have to kind of see more patients per hour to be able to do that, and that's where your great staff comes in, where you're kind of like on the same page, where they can help see more patients, right? We're kind of like on the same page at this point. If I'm behind and they know a patient, so glaucoma patient, they might do a field first before they get them in to do anything else, get that started before I even see them. Kind of work backwards in a sense, and that
Yeah.
was very good. And they kind of direct me. I have multiple exam lanes to be able to do this, but they kind of direct me to say, "Hey, go in exam room 2. That's a contact lens wearer. Go take a look at their contacts. Patient can
Mm.
take the contact, and then you go to exam room 3. There's a check guy there." So they're guiding you through where, hey, that's a quick, visit, highest contact. I'm happy. Let me take a look. They move properly. Go to exam room 3. It's bacterial conjunctivitis. And
Mm.
then you go back. So, and then she can pre-test and then you go to the other room. So it kind of works like that where when you're all on the same page, that's important. The other thing too is your costs. Staff, you have to pay. You need good staff. You need to pay them, right? I mean, you have to do well so they do, so you can support them. That's huge. But there's ways to cut costs too. These doctors have a lot of overhead and rent. So owning the real estate, depending on where you are in the country, that makes a big thing. And if you can pay that off quickly, that makes a big, so your rent doesn't go up, but that's where you're always going to be, right? And you have to have the vision to know that if it expands, if you can have multiple lanes. I know one doctor, he had a very busy practice and the landlord said, "Hey, we're selling the building." And he had to move again after a couple of years. And that's a big thing. And then the rent keeps going up. The other thing too is, you have to kind of see 60% of the optical revenue of your revenue comes from optical. That's an average practice. That's great, but it's kind of dwindling too now with online. Thanks. So figure out your costs, your lab. You can negotiate that, but you can also, find frames that are affordable. Use buying groups. Those are important too. PECA buying group has been great. They have good resources on billing too for medical and other things that you can add to the practice. I've then over the years, you kind of, scale up, grow, and see where you're at, and develop the dry eye clinic. And the dry eye clinic's been great, where it creates patient loyalty, referrals, and a cash pay. Where I have RF and IPL, and able to pay those off in a year. That is the major thing in the practice, is keeping debt low. Um, and I think those are the things that I've kind of done. I mean, I'm sure there's ways that I could do better. Um, but for over the years, I think just keeping overhead low, costs low as possible, kind of seeing more patients per day, and cutting down the work. I think the staff likes that too. Or other days are more busier than others, because they have downtime. But I was also very fortunate too to have fill-in or sublease over the years too, to kind of compensate for that. So, before, corporations were a little different. Now they've changed it a little bit, where they're opening up for doctors to fill in and things like that. And I think that takes some of the pressure off some of these practices too. And that's kind of what I did too. And I've worked 6 days a week for almost 20 years. So, for
And I hear that as a common strategy when people are expanding or new. Like I'll do some fill-in days at like a Kroger, or like not Kroger, but a corporate office down the road, and just fill in when they need it. I think that's a great strategy,
Yeah,
especially if you're.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty laid back. I mean, just go and see the patients, take care of the patients. It's pretty easy work. One location was at a college. It was pretty easy work. You just see college kids. Um, I mean, that was kind of good over the years too. But I did it for a long time. I mean, 20 years, 6 days a week. I don't even know how I did it, honestly. Um,
You're a hard worker. That's tough.
but yeah, now it kind of cut back. We work basically 3.5 days a week. But I've been there, right? But everything's over time. What you get, you invest, right? A lot of doctors will spend and get comfortable. We never really got comfortable in a sense, because once you do, that's when it kind of goes down. And the industry's changed, but I've
Yeah,
been very fortunate where, say whatever was thing was saved, and invested in the business, and other things.
that's awesome. That's really good to hear that. I'm seeing a cool theme of learning and adapting. That seems to be the theme I'm seeing across all your experiences as you grew.
Yeah, I mean, it's still learning. Like I said, I've been doing this almost 20 years, but there's always an opportunity to learn and know more. But you got to learn from people that have done it, not just people that say it, right? You gotta get in those rooms, and you gotta go to the conferences. If you're in the room where you feel like you're not the smart, I think you're in the right room. And you're never really in cruise control mode, because the industry keeps changing. AI is coming, a lot of different things. So we still have to. And when I graduated 20 years ago, it was nothing on dry eye. I mean, we learned all these new things. You just have to keep learning.
That's good. That's great insight. And what is it that you're most looking forward to, both with your business and with the industry?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to AI, honestly. I think AI can help better patient outcomes, help me in the practice. Maybe we see more patients, um, and help with that. I see a lot of older patients now, so sometimes on a hard case, if I could just get reassurance,
Mm.
that might be beneficial. And then kind of put eye care as a whole with healthcare, right? So, some of this new AI for help with, Alzheimer's, or other things as well, for systemic, that we can kind of see, which we already see in the eye anyways, but kind of help determine diabetes early or things like that with the eye. Um, I think that'd be great. I think, eye care has really evolved. I'm excited about the new myopia management things that we have, dry eye stuff that's coming out. We have presbyopia drops. There's new dry eye drops coming out. Glaucoma's changing, interventional. I mean, things have just changed so much, um, over the years, and you're still learning, still seeing what's better for your patients. See a lot of glaucoma patients now, and before it was kind of like you throw a drop at them and hope for the best. But now we have OCT, more educated field, interventional, a lot of different things, to kind of help those patients.
Yeah, I love it. It's interesting. You have such a learner mindset. And most folks I've talked to, they're either neutral to uneasy on AI. So I love the fact that you're like excited about it. That's awesome. Um, so let's shift gears just a little bit. I'm curious to hear a story, Maria, about that was formative for you, that made you who you are today. So it could have been you were much younger, could have been more recent, but a story that's really visceral that sticks with you as, yeah, that's a story of why I am the way I am.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to go into healthcare. I was exploring different things. When I was in high school, I was kind of volunteering at the hospital, and I shadowed an optometrist, and I really liked the fact that he had his own business. He took care of patients. It seemed like a nice career, and kind of went to school and to see and thought about this, thought about dentistry. Was gonna go into dentistry at that point, and, I look back, I mean, someone that kinda plans it out and takes, let's say, risk or just thing. I only applied to one optometry school, which I'm like, "How stupid was that?" Back then, and now I got in, obviously, but, look back and I'm like, "But that I think that's what it was supposed to be." Everything over the years where I kinda plan and how I want it to be never really happened that way. Things are supposed to be a certain way. And I always say I went to school, then a private school. I loved the 4th year rotation at the VA. I was like, "Oh, I wanna do this. I wanna work at the VA." And, it just didn't happen. There was no spot, but looking back now is, again, where I'm supposed to be. Entrepreneur, having my own business, and yeah, I do VA every day. We see geriatric patients, right? We do medical. But I like the fact that I can kinda, you know, take Tuesday afternoon off if I want to, because I feel like it, whatever the case is. But because of that, because you're a business, but also because I've been financial secure over the years because of it, because I've worked and invested and then that time. But you one week you work a little more than the other. And I think you can do that. But it's how you plan things out sometimes is you end up where you're supposed to be anyways.
Yeah, I like that. Um, so with knowing what you know now, what's some advice you would give to your younger self, like maybe right after you got out of OD school? What would be something you'd tell yourself now?
I tell myself, "Hey, don't rush so fast. It's gonna happen." Some people got what they wanted faster than maybe wasn't an opportunity, but it's not everything is a good opportunity. And you kind of took it and might not work out. But for me, over the years, I've been very fortunate. I found opportunity that nobody else wanted, right? And I just kind of made it what it was good for me at that point. And everything at stage in life is where it was supposed to happen. Right? Maybe I had a small sublease, but it worked out. My kids were little. I was learning. I didn't have to work that many out. And then at the different stages, and you kind of see where you're at. But yeah, don't rush it. And I like to get to that point quickly. And you know what? Again, like I said, it's about the journey. And I wouldn't be where I am today without learning from all those experiences. And each part of the journey was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I like that. Um, Maria, if folks want to get in touch with you, where can they connect with you?
So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. My profile is Maria Sampalis. Connect with me on Facebook, or people can email me, msampalis@hotmail. Happy to, help guide people, mentor, whatever question they have. Um, I kind of like that stuff. I'm like, I think you should do this. And the doctor's like, I never thought of it that way. So I do like those things. And I want to say the group has helped a lot of individuals over the years, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I would say so. Any of those groups, I know that one I've had experience with, and it's a really helpful group as well. So, um, well, thank you again, Dr. Sampalis, for being a guest on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, one of the takeaways I took, I loved your approach to learning and not stopping. Right, it's just keep going. You're going to have failures or setbacks. You just keep moving and learning. And I also one tactical thing I took away was the control center for your exams, like how your staff was like almost air traffic controller for you. I like that a lot. And
Yeah, you say air traffic control. I say you're the maestro of the practice.
okay, I like that too. Yeah,
You're the maestro.
yeah.
You tell them where it's supposed to go and what to do, and kind of do that. But again, I'm only as good as my staff. The staff is very good. I've been very fortunate. Everyone has what they're good at. One is very good at front desk and working, but you have to work with them too, right? That's not their life, but you want to make it easier. And I've worked a lot of different places, and I always said I'm never gonna be, everyone works hard, but I'm never gonna be that boss that they don't wanna come to work, or not have it a good environment. It just shouldn't have to be like that. I think optometry is a
Yeah.
great profession, and you just take care of people, but, it's with the culture that you create there. So they do work hard. I mean, some days I see a lot of patients. I see 25, 30 patients, and they work hard. And then the next day I might leave early and we see 10 or something like that. I might, but they work hard, and other days is catch up. And I think they appreciate that. But um everyone has their position that makes everyone else's job easier. So
Nice. I like that. Thank you again. And thank you, audience. If you learned something or laughed, please share the podcast with your friend and make sure you hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode. And if you use the HubSpot link in the show notes to book a meeting, I'll send you a free copy of my book, Optometry Redefined. Thank you again, Maria, for being a guest. And this has been another exciting episode of Optometrists Building Empires. We'll see you next time. This is Optometrists Building Empires, and I'm your host, Ankit Patel. Each week, we'll explore the journey of practice ownership and leadership in optometry. Join us for insights and strategies from the top minds in our field. This show is sponsored by My Business Care Team. My Business Care Team helps your office increase revenues, reduce costs, and reduce staffing headaches. Let's build your empire together.